Hey everybody, it's Brooke. We are back with part 3, I think, of our grocery bag video tutorial. Excuse me, junk journal tutorial. And yesterday we made our little grocery bag shell cover. And I did want to say before we get started that I couldn't stand it. I went ahead and put 2 more things in the kit. One of them is a washi tape sample, and one of them is an embroidery floss sample. The washi tape comes on a vintage card that has a cute little deer on it. I don't know, can you see him? See him peeking through? Whoops. See him peeking through. And then the embroidery floss comes on a vintage French flashcard. So those will also be included in your kit if you decide to buy one to play along. So let me put those out of the way, and we are going to go ahead and do some sewing on our cover. So if you'll hold on 1 second, then we will set up the sewing machine and off we go. Hold on. All right, everybody, the nice old man has set up the sewing machine. Look, we're getting all fancy up in here. I've got him jumping through hoops. So hopefully you guys can see this. This is the pocket piece that we made yesterday, and I haven't done anything different to it. And I'm just going to stitch it for fun, just for decorative purposes. So I've got my machine threaded with purple thread. What the heck? I hardly ever use purple, and I thought it might be fun. And I've got it set up for, oh, you can't see that. Well, I've got it set up for a zigzag stitch. And my sewing machine is a Brother 9185, which I adore. I think I got it at Walmart, and it was $100, I believe. And it's got 99 stitches. It's awesome. So that's what I'm using, and I've got purple thread in here. So I'm just going to start sewing. If the sewing machine is horribly loud, then I guess I'll do a voiceover. But here we go. The squeak you hear is my bobbin. Whenever I sew on thick paper, my bobbin talks back to me. So down that one side, on the zigzag, I'm going to go ahead and put the needle down on the left zigzag. So if it's going like this, if you put the needle down on the left hand point of the zigzag and then turn your project, you get a neater corner. So I'm going to go down along the bottom as well. I stopped it, putting my needle down, and then putting my needle down again on that left hand side and going up the other side. I'm not going to bother to backstitch it because this is really just decorative. It isn't going to be holding anything. Cut those threads, and let's see, how can you see that? There you go. The lighting is weird, but I think you can see that we stitched all the way around that pocket. We'll put that aside. And then just for fun, let's stitch on the cover itself. So I think that I'm going to do a decorative hand stitch along here. For those of you who don't have a sewing machine, you can hand stitch it, you can leave it, whatever you want to do. Don't feel like pulling out your sewing machine? Yeah, I understand that. So we'll just do a little bit of decorative stitching along here. So I'm starting in the top left-hand corner, and I guess I'll go ahead and do that zigzag stitch again. I am going to back stitch on this one because this corner is going to take some abuse with things sliding in and out of this pocket. So just go ahead and back stitch a little bit, and then off we go. We are sewing right through the glue. It's dry. As long as you don't get big globs, the machine really doesn't mind much. going to stop at this point because remember this pocket is open from the top and we don't want to sew it closed. So I'll go just a little bit further and then back stitch again. Go ahead and pull that out, snip those threads, and there you go. Yeah, I don't know where you can see it. So that's got a nice little zigzag right across the top. And just to kind of match it up a little bit, let's do the bottom for fun. Just for fun. So I'm turning it around. I'm lining it up here again, sort of matching where we stopped up here. Again, I don't measure. It's a junk journal. It works for me. So I'll go ahead and put my foot down. Let's do a different stitch this time. Let's do a cute little vine stitch, which is 68. And this one, when you backstitch, most of the decorative stitches, when you backstitch, it doesn't actually move your project backwards like it would in a zigzag or a straight stitch. It just goes up and down a few times and knots the thread that way. I had someone ask if there was something wrong with their machine because it wasn't backing up on the decorative stitches. But nope. So if I just stop there, hit my backstitch key, it's just going to go in and out and lock the thread there. And then we'll go ahead and off we go. We do have red on here from the Hannaford logo. I don't care. I'm not matching. The rest of the journal will coordinate, but I'm not worried about it. We may end up covering up the Hannaford logo. Don't know. If we don't, I love it. Red and purple are kind of the same, right? Close enough. The decorative stitches are slower. But I'm just holding it. I'm sorry, you couldn't see my hands. I'm just holding it and guiding it really lightly and letting it do its thing. When we're done sewing, I'll put the camera back. Okay, that's a lie. The nice old man will put the camera back and I'll show you a better view of what we have sewn. And again, it's certainly not mandatory. Don't have a sewing machine, no problem. Don't feel like sewing, no problem. Glue is just fine. If you're not going to sew, you may want to go a little more heavy-handed with the glue than I did. Oops, my bag shifted a little bit. I'm just sort of guiding it back into place. We're coming up to the end. I'm going to go ahead and back stitch. Oop, got a little close to the edge, but that's all right. Snip those threads. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, I went crooked, but I kind of like how that looks. So we've got that. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and reinforce where I glued on this pocket. I cut it a little long, and it's trying to bend with the spine. So I could either go in and trim the pocket off a little bit, or I could sew it down. And as long as we have the machine out, what the heck? Let's go ahead and go back to the zigzag machine, the zigzag stitch. Really, I can talk. I can talk all day. I can talk the hind leg off a mule. Turn the camera on and I start stuttering and carrying on. I wonder if that happens to everyone that records. Probably not. Who am I kidding? All right, so I've got it set back to our zigzag. And I start going and then just back stitch a little bit. And go right along the edge of that pocket. going to keep an eye out here where we use the edge punch. Make sure nothing gets stuck. Went through beautifully. Now this is going to show on the cover, remember, because we're sewing all the way through, but that is A-okay with me. Alright, and I am stuck on the stuff behind. Okay, I'm going to put my needle down and just kind of roll that up. Sorry about my giant head. Oh, that must have been a real treat for you. It's quite humid again, and I've been in and out of the pool. My hair must look stunning. All right, so I just pulled up this back edge that was getting stuck. We'll finish this up. Do a little back stitch. And there we go. That is our cover. I think it's wonderful. See if you can see that a little bit. Oop, put it down. I'm not used to the camera being over here. All right, I think it looks fabulous. I'm going to ask the nice old man to put the camera back where it goes, and I'll show you a better view of how it looks where it's not so dark. Okay, hold on. Be right back. All right, so we've done our sewing, and we have our cover and our pocket. Here's our pocket. So hopefully this is better lighting, and you can see where I had sewn around the top and down the spine there. There's our little vine that we stitched. And then this is how it looks on the front. And I just think that's so cute. Look at that. So if you don't have a sewing machine, again, who cares? Don't sew it. Sew it by hand. Just glue it. Whatever you want to do. It's your book. You just have fun. So what I'd like to do now is take our pocket, and I stitched that one too. It's that zigzag stitch all the way around. And all we're going to do with this is find our glue, get out the stinky glue, and run a bead on 3 sides. And remember, I'm going to put this one on the back cover, the inside of the back cover. Just running it right over the stitching. And I'm using Fabrifix. And we got some strings. So I better go ahead and clean that up, or we're just going to be gluing this whole thing, and it won't be a pocket anymore. There we go. I left the threads that were hanging. I like how that looks. You don't have to. And I'm just going to center this. Let's see if we can flatten this. Center this as best I can. I think put it down towards the bottom some. I think I like it right there. I don't know. That was random. I don't know why it took so long. Big measuring and whatnot. No, it wasn't. That's a fib. So just press it down. And look at that. Let me see if I've got something so we can look professional. Oh, we'll use our washi tape sample. Got a pocket here. We have a pocket here. Then we have a pocket here. And we have a pocket here. We have a pocket. Oh, I glued it closed again. Whoopsie. We have a pocket here from the original bag construction. And then we have a big old pocket here. So our cover is coming along beautifully. Actually, your cover could be done. Your cover could have been done as soon as you folded it and glued it. But we did some extra stuff, which I really like. So this is this. And I think what I'm going to do is my awesome friend Elizabeth at Never Hopeless by Elizabeth showed us how to do some blanket stitching on her live stream the other day. We'll link her channel down below. But I thought it might be fun to do a blanket stitch down this side. So let me see here. Looking for my embroidery floss. Remember, this comes with the kit. So you've got some floss there. So I've got mine unraveled. And I am going to go ahead and use all 6 plies of the embroidery thread. Sometimes when you're doing different stitches, it's a 6 ply. And let's see if you can see that. Ooh, we're up close and personal. Is that all blurry and stuff? Anyway, embroidery floss is 6 ply, meaning there's 6 threads that are sort of wound together. So with some stitches, you take a certain amount of plies out, so you're only stitching with 2 threads or 3 threads or whatever. But for this blanket stitch on the edge of our grocery bag, I think I would like it to be purple, and I think I would like it to be thicker. So the first thing I want to do is, remember this pocket opens up here. The first thing I want to do is use some of the washi tape that comes in the kit. See if I can get this where you guys can see it. I kind of need it to be this way, so I'll just lean it on me. So this is the edge we're going to stitch. I'm going to use the washi tape that comes in the kit, this purple paisley. I love this. I think it's a beautiful color. I think it's a beautiful pattern. It is horrible washi tape. I think it came from Michael's. It's pretty much got no stick whatsoever. So I'm going to use a glue stick as well. That looks like about enough. So I'm putting this on both to be decorative. Oh, and see how it tears? Isn't that nifty? Yeah. Good stuff right there. I'm putting it on both to be a decorative edge, but also to reinforce that paper edge a little bit, since we're going to be stitching through it. So I've got my glue stick, and I do this with almost all washi. I think I've talked about the fact that I have trust issues, and especially with this washi tape, I'm putting a lot of glue on it. Because, as I said, it really doesn't stick very well. So I'm going to go ahead and run the glue. Hopefully I was in camera. I'm flailing around like a crazy person. Try to center it so we can wrap it around. You know what? Maybe we'll do it from the front, so that if I go terribly crooked, it won't show on the front. Oh, let's put it up in camera. How about that? Otherwise, you're just sitting here watching nothing. All right, so I'm going to put it right down here, trying to eyeball half and half, half on the front and half on the back. Smush it down really well. Turn it over. This is funny, I really do kind of have a purple theme going, and that's not usually purple's not my first choice usually. I'm just going to put a little more, well, a lot more glue stick on there, honestly. Just grab that and fold the edge up on the other side. And I didn't get it quite halfway. There's a little bit more on the front, but that's just fine. Smush that down. So now we've got it folded right around the edge like that. That looks pretty. Cover up my glue stick. And then I'll just grab my scissors and give that a snip, clean up the ends. And look at that. There's our back cover. I think I might have said front cover, I'm sorry. This is our back cover. So our journal, let's get out our fake journal pages. And you know what, I think when I come back, I'm going to zoom. I'm going to let the glue here dry a little bit before I stitch through it, just 5 minutes or so, because I hate when my needle gets gummy. But I think that I will zoom out some before I start again. So here's our little fake journal, tucking right in the cover like that. Oh, look at that. They're so cute. And then this will fold over. So it's kind of the back front cover. It's the fold over part. Can you see? Oh, look how cute that is. Then our closure is going to be right in here, and it'll be seam binding that wraps around. So yeah, let's go ahead and do a blanket stitch right along this edge. I'm going to let the glue set up for a minute, and I will be back in 1 second. All right, everybody, we're back, and our glue is dry, and I was thinking about it while waiting for the glue to dry. I think rather than using 6 strands, we're going to go ahead and use 3. This is the embroidery floss that comes in the kit. I'll ask the nice young man, well, okay, the nice old man to put a link down in the bottom to the shop if you'd like to buy the physical kit that goes along with it. If you are a professional stitcher, you actually pull the threads out one by one from the full 6 plies. I am not a professional stitcher, so I'm just pulling 3 out of the whole bundle. So we've still got this much left from the kit, and I'm going to put that aside, put that back in my pile of stuff to use. So we've got this nice long piece that I just pulled out. It is 3 strands, and I've got my big giant needle here, How much fun for you to watch me thread. Okay, better than the last take where I tried to pull one strand out at a time and made a giant rat's nest of embroidery flaws. That was a lot of fun. All right, so I'm going to try to thread this needle. Ooh, look at that. And make a knot in the end. And just as a tip, if you take your needle and put it into the center of your knot, you can kind of guide it down towards the end of your thread, and that way you're not wasting any. You get the knot right at the end. Okay, so then what I generally will do is, oop, I hit the camera, I'm sorry. I've got the thread right here. I'm going to hold it up in the air. I don't know if you can see that. No, you can't. Whee! I'm just letting it, I'm holding it by the knot end and just letting it untwist a little bit. Okay, so what we've got here is our book. I'm going to open it. And this is the edge we're going to blanket stitch on. And I've got my Tim Holtz ruler. Honestly, I would just go ahead and eyeball this and do it. But in case you guys have an issue with things being a little uneven, you can just go ahead and measure it out and make dots with a pencil. Remember yesterday when we made our cover and I told you not to get Fabrifix on your plastic surfaces? Yeah, I've got a new Tim Holtz ruler on order because that's a mess. But at any rate, the point of a blanket stitch is, well, it can be an attaching stitch, but it also can just be decorative. And you want the width of the stitch to equal the length of the stitch. So if you wanted to mark this, you could measure how wide your washi tape is, which is just about 1/4 of an inch. And so you could go right along, line up your ruler with your washi tape, or with 1/4 inch, because my washi tape is not exactly straight. You take your ruler and where's my pencil? Oh, gotta reach, sorry. There's my pencil. And go and mark 1/4 inch dots. We'll go all the way down, make those dots. And it probably does make sense to do that, so it's neat and tidy. The closer you get the measurements to being the same width and height, the neater your stitching looks. So we'll just finish that up. And I'm not going to stitch it all on camera because really, you know, you'll get it after a few. It's a really easy stitch. Also, definitely go check out Elizabeth's stream on this because she's a great teacher. So we take our needle and we have the knot at the back, and what you're going to do is you can start from the left or the right, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to start here on the left hand side, and going from the back of the bag, I'm going to put my needle up through that dot, pull it through. And then you turn it over. Oh, and you know what? I put my knot so close to the end, we might lose that, which is no big deal. We can just pull it up and make a bigger knot. There we go. Use my needle to pull it too close to the end, I guess. So let's pull that back up. And then you go back to the back and put your needle through that same hole. Can you see that? Let's see. So we're in the front again, in the same hole. Now you want to pull it until you have a little bit of a loop, and I just stick my thumb in there to pull the thread till we've got a little loop. And then you take your needle and go from right to left underneath the loop. And holding it up at the top, you're going to pull it. Don't pull it so tight that you curl the edge of the bag. But that's your base foundation stitch. Then we're going to go to the next dot that we made from the back to the front. Pull the needle up, and again, just pulling it until we have a little bit of a loop, not pulling anything real tight, and go from right to left. And pull that snug, but not so tight you curl the edge of the bag. And then you have your first blanket stitch. And you can just sort of use your fingers and your needle to adjust that. And that is the blanket stitch. And you just keep going. There's our next dot. Oop, I forgot the loop, so that's okay. You can just put your needle underneath that thread. Wait, I've done something wrong. Something horrible's happened. What did I do? Okay, hold on. Something horrible can happen at any time, and it's so easy to fix. I'm just going to unthread my needle and see what I did here. What did I do wrong? Oh, I went from back to front, not front to back. All right, so there we are, back to square one, as they say. I'm going to rethread my needle. There really is no mistake that you can make that you can't fix. Cover up, hide, throw away, whatever. It's really, very rarely does it come to throwing it away. You can almost always find a way to utilize your mistake. Happy accidents. Isn't that what Bob Ross used to say? All right, so let's try that again. So we're going front to back, not back to front. Right through our little pencil mark. Holding the loop with my thumb and taking my needle underneath that loop, right to left. There we go. Might be nice if I didn't fib to you about how to do it, huh? So there's your next blanket stitch. And you just keep going. Here's our next hole. Just kind of going right along the edge of that washi. There's our loop. Taking my thread underneath the loop from right to left. Oop. There we go. And pulling it up. Snug, but not so snug that it pulls the bag over. And just kind of adjusting it with my fingers. I just think that's so cute. Can you guys see that? It's a lot more apparent in real life. So I'll do a couple more, and then I'll finish it up and come back for the end because, as I said, I'm sure you've got it. Right through that dot that we made. Put the needle underneath the loop, right to left, and pull it snug. Just sing a little song in your head, right to left, right to left. Needle through, front to back. Needle through, right to left. And it does take a little fussing with your finger, but it's no big deal. Needle through, front to back. Needle under, right to left. One more time, and then I'll pause you while I finish it. Needle through, front to back. Needle through, right to left. And look at that. Just as cute as can be. Get the little ridge on there. I think that's adorable. You could slide a bead on, while you're stitching. Periodically, I do like to take the whole bag or whatever I'm stitching on, hold it up in the air and let the needle dangle. Oop, that's my hand blocking the camera. Just letting I can't even find the needle. There we go. Just letting it dangle, but I'm putting it over to the side so it can hang freely, and that will untwist it in case, you've sort of twisted it while you're working. And as I was saying, you can put some beads on as you're going along. You could add charms, whatever you like. You could just leave it the way it is. But that is the blanket stitch. So I'm going to finish up the row, and then I'll come back and show you how I tie a knot at the end. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, guys, I have finished stitching all along the edge. We're getting right up to the end here. So I'm going to do, I've got 2 more stitches to do. So going in from front to back, going underneath the thread from right to left. And here's our last one. Front to back, right to left. All right, and then the last thing we're going to do, normally with a blanket stitch, you'd be doing this between 2 pieces of fabric, so you would bury the knot between the pieces of fabric, but that is not what we're doing. So we're going to go ahead, and I hope you can see this, we're going to make a knot by taking our needle and going underneath the thread and just making a single knot and pulling it up to where the stitch should be. So you can see that. We've got in the front, we've got the stitch where it should be. Kind of straighten it up again. And then, again, not a professional embroiderer, so I'm just going to make a big fat knot. And you can see the thread is sort of behaving badly and curling up on itself. That's because, can you see that? There we go. Because I need to hang the book upside down or and let the thread untwist again. So I don't have enough room under the camera to do it. So I'm just holding the book up. Oh, and then I dropped the needle. Whoops, that's not fast. But I let the thread untwist itself so it won't be so funky. Get my needle. Yep, runaway needles, not okay. Especially this one. Look at the size of it, and it's sharp as heck. And guess who runs around barefoot in the house? Not the nice old man. He likes to have his shoes on all the time. I very rarely have shoes on. I don't believe in shoes. Well, I live in Maine. I do believe in shoes in the wintertime. So again, just going to make a knot. What do we got going on there? Make a mess before I make my knot. This is not as hard as I'm making it look, I swear. Tighten it up. And I kind of tighten it up too much so we have a little bit of an angle, but you can just kind of pull it out with your finger. And let's bend that back again and trim it off. And I think what I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue on both of my knots, just because this cover will probably get a lot of abuse. And I'm going to use my Fabrifix and just put a little bit of glue there and a little bit of glue up here at the top. Excuse me. Oh, you can't see it. Whoops. Sorry. Put a little bit of glue up here on the beginning knot, just to fix it in place. Won't hurt anything. And snip off this extra thread up here. And I'm going to use my handy dandy poking in tool, you know, this professional one, and poke that knot right into the glue we just put down, just for a little extra assurance. All right, so look at that, you guys. We are rocking and rolling. Once again, you could stop right here. This is a full journal cover. You would just go ahead and sew your signature right into here, or your signatures, whatever you want to do. And poof, there's a cover. We're going to put a closure in there, but as I said, I like to wait until later to see what I'm going to do. But look how cute our stitching came out. Here's our hand stitching, and we have all of our machine stitching, and we have all of our pockets, and this is pretty nifty. So that is the last part of making the cover. We're going to move on to picking out pages and folding them up for the signature in the next video. And I think I'm also going to look at some of my junk mail to throw in there. So your homework, if you're following along, is to open up the bills that you really know that you pay online and you keep getting return envelopes anyway. Not that you would do that. I don't know anything about that, but I think I might have some of those upstairs. So pull out a couple of envelopes, return envelopes, or whatever you like, and in the next video we'll use those and the free printables that will be linked down below. And I'm also going to use the pages from my kit that's available in the Etsy shop, also linked down below. So thanks so much for hanging out. Hope this was fun. I know a lot of people have been waiting for it. It's a really fun technique, and I just love how it looks. So if you enjoyed it or got anything out of it, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe down below. Check out the link for the free kit that you can, it's a digital kit that you can print out. And go check out our Etsy store if you're interested in buying the physical kit so you can make this along with me. Thanks so much, you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.